A high-speed chase ending in a deadly collision overnight, killing 2 drivers, including an innocent 19-year-old. What police are saying about what led up to the chase.
Where the White House is reportedly looking to pull billions of dollars from to fund the border wall.
And the proposal being considered by county leaders to crack down on vaping in San Diego. 10 News Midday starts now.
Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
2 people killed in a horrific crash in Carlsbad this morning, including one man believed to be in the military. I'm Jim Patton.
I'm Virginia Cha. A wrong-way driver running from law enforcement colliding head-on with an innocent driver. 10 News anchor Mary McKenzie live in Oceanside, where the chase began as an attempted traffic stop. Mary?
Virginia, this is Carmelo and Monterey here in Oceanside. You can see just how close it is to the freeway where this chase began here this morning. Started when Oceanside PD pulled over a Ford pickup for a minor traffic violation, we're told. It happened just after midnight. As officers were getting out of their car to approach the truck, the driver took off and the chase began. It ended in this horrific crash on the 5 freeway just south of the Las Flores overpass in Carlsbad. The driver of the pickup leading police on a high-speed chase on and off the 5 and the 78 freeways, going the right direction at times and the wrong way at very high speeds until crashing head-on with his Pontiac Grand Prix, killing both drivers. The mangled car, driven by a 19-year-old man whom CHP believes was a member of the military. The Sheriff's Department had their helicopter up at the time following the pickup during the chase and caught the crash on video, according to CHP. The passenger of the truck's been identified by Oceanside PD as 35-year-old Jesse Sosa. He wouldn't get out, they say, so Oceanside PD had to use a canine officer to get him to comply, rushing him to Scripps La Jolla, hurt but conscious. He was also taken into custody but has been released. The driver of the pickup who was killed was 42 years old, from San Diego. The crash had the 5 freeway closed for hours and made a mess of the early morning commute. Neither of the drivers who were killed have been identified yet. We're waiting on that information from the medical examiner. We are live in Oceanside. Mary McKenzie, 10 News.
All right, Mary, thank you. And while the suspect crossed over to the wrong side of the road, officers say they never followed. CHP tells us they have rules against it.
Once you see a wrong way driver, CHP has certain rules that we partake in and not engage in the wrong way activity with them, but it is a difficult thing to mitigate.
We're still waiting to learn more from the CHP about this chase and about the victims. We'll have more on later editions of 10 News.
The Trump administration reportedly planning to divert more than $7 billion to fund the border wall. That is according to the Washington Post, which is reporting money would be used to construct hundreds of miles of barriers over the next 2 years. The money would reportedly be pulled from military counter-drug and construction programs. The news coming amid a court battle after the White House was sued for a similar move, using money for things not authorized by Congress. The fight is still working its way through the courts.
After weeks of delay, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi planning to move forward with impeachment. Pelosi meeting with Democrats behind closed doors today ahead of plans to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate tomorrow. Pelosi had been withholding the articles of impeachment in a ploy to get guarantees about the trial from Senate Republicans. Trial could begin in the Senate within days. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he expects the Senate to end the impeachment push there.
Overnight, Iran saying they've made arrests in connection to the deadly missile strike on a commercial airliner. That announcement coming on the heels of widespread protests there. But as ABC's Ian Pannell reports, questions still remain.
Iran now confirming that arrests have been made in connection with the downing of that Ukrainian airliner last week, although they're not saying how many have been arrested, and they're certainly not telling us who has been arrested. But Iran's judiciary making a public statement that arrests, detentions had been made as their investigation goes on. Remember, it took a number of days before Iran admitted that it had shot down this airliner, apparently targeted by anti-aircraft fire in that feverish atmosphere that followed the assassination of Iran's top general Soleimani. Now, the judiciary and the chief of armed forces and now the Iranian president all essentially apologizing. The Iranian president, interestingly, saying that he thought there was something, quotes, not normal about the downing right from the get-go, and he was urging the authorities to come clean on the investigation, also apologizing for what happened. Of course, those apologies going to the families of those who had died, more than 170 people killed in that airline crash. And this, of course, follows a weekend of heavy protest in which people came out onto the streets full of criticism for the regime's handling of this crisis, the fact that it tried to cover up the truth and it took it a while to come clean. Now, there hasn't been a repetition of those large-scale protests, but there are still unconfirmed reports of protests around the country as the Iranian regime faces significant pressure. Ian Pannell, ABC News, London.
Today, the La Mesa City Council will vote on getting rid of smoking in public spaces. The council considering an ordinance that would make most outdoor spaces in La Mesa smoke-free. It's an ordinance backed by educators, parents, and several public health advocates. And this would include vaping and marijuana. There would be some exceptions for a cigar bar and other over 21 establishments with patios. That vote tonight at 6.
Well, the County Board of Supervisors will decide today whether to approve plans that would crack down on vaping. 10 News reporter Marie Cornell is live downtown. Marie, a lot of people have something to say about this issue.
Yeah, Virginia, so at last check, there were at least 70 people who signed up to speak. And because of this crowd, they actually moved this to later this afternoon. We did catch up with Supervisor Nathan Fletcher, who says something needs to be done today because we are facing a health crisis.
It's important because people are dying. A 15-year-old girl just died. We've had hundreds of people hospitalized. We have people dying all the way across this country. We have 5 million more children and teenagers vaping today.
So to stop this, they're proposing a plan that would crack down on vaping. This plan is looking at a ban on outdoor smoking at bars and restaurants. There's also an option of implementing a 1-year moratorium on selling e-cigarette devices, as well as enforcing a ban on selling flavored tobacco. All of this only being implemented in unincorporated parts of the county. But business owners tell us they are doing their part in keeping this out of the hands of kids and teens.
We are against youth using this product. We are diligent about checking IDs, refusing sales to minors, and making sure that we keep an eye out for straw buyers. We get those on a regular basis. And this is a product that has helped millions of people transition off of traditional tobacco, which kills 1,300 people a day.
So again, this item has been scheduled for 1 this afternoon. If it does pass this would go into effect in July. Live from downtown, Marie Cornell, 10 News.
Marie, thank you. This morning, we're getting a new look at quite the sight along the 15 freeway yesterday. A Marine helicopter, you see it there landing right next to the freeway in Bonsall.
And it kind of just threw me off, but then I saw the propellers going and it kind of just clicked with me, and I was like, no way is a military helicopter landing right next to both of these freeways.
Mike Moore shared his dash cam video with us. He says he first heard several helicopters about a mile or so earlier. Then all of a sudden, 2 veered off and he realized that something was wrong.
That's not a drill to just go down there and in that public area to go do things like that.
CH-53E Super Stallion is part of the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing used in combat support. Marines say it made a precautionary landing after the crew saw light go off indicating a generator had failed. No one was hurt.
Happening today, the city of Encinitas holding a public forum for a proposed safe parking program. Jewish Family Service proposed a plan which would provide a safe environment for homeless people living in their cars and also offer help for them to transition back into permanent housing. The plan would create about 25 more parking spaces in an existing lot on Leechtag Commons in Encinitas and would be managed by a staff. The public forum outlining the details is from 6 to 8 tonight at the Encinitas Community Center. Ooh, a prank gone terribly wrong. The message one child held up behind her mother's back that sent Northern California police scrambling.
And a dominant end to a perfect season. LSU capping off an incredible season with a historic game from their Heisman quarterback.
And it's a tranquil Tuesday. I am tracking a mild Wednesday followed by showers on Thursday. Now let's get your traffic with Officer Jim Betancourt. How's it looking, Jim?
So far, so good out there around the county. No major incidents to report. We do have one small crash, and that's going to be on the right shoulder on the northbound side of the 5, right around Nobel Drive. Not really affecting traffic all that much through that area. The 5 at SeaWorld is looking really good at this hour if you're going to be traveling through there. 15 at Miramar Way. From here all the way up to the North County is going to be incident-free. I'm Officer Jim Betancourt with your 10 News Time Saver Traffic.
Students at Alliant International University holding a moment of silence yesterday for their classmate who was aboard the Ukraine Airlines plane that was shot down. 23-year-old Sarah Sadat was working toward her doctoral degree in clinical psychology. Last week, she, her mother, and sister were flying back to Canada after visiting family in Iran. The school is now working on a way to honor Sarah.
I know she wanted to make an impact on our community.
Her friends and classmates are planning a celebration of her life for sometime next week.
Little girl got into some big trouble in Sacramento. She was holding this sign out the back seat window of a car. It reads, "Help me, she's not my mom, help." Well, drivers immediately called police and 6 units showed up to stop the car, only to find out that it was a joke. Girl's mom said she had no idea what her daughter was doing in the back seat. Police didn't ticket anyone, but say this is wasting their time because they could have been responding to legitimate calls.
Led by Heisman winner Joe Burrow, LSU doing something they had never had to do before, overcome a double-digit deficit to do something they've been doing all season, win games. It was a championship performance in the NCAA title game to cap off a perfect season. ABC's Will Reeve has the details.
LSU sits on the throne of college football.
Overnight, the clash of the Tigers in New Orleans, the college football playoff national championship featuring 2 undefeateds, defending champs Clemson led by coach Dabo Swinney and hometown LSU by one-of-a-kind Louisiana native Ed Orgeron.
I grew up wanting to be the head coach at LSU. I'm so proud for the state of Louisiana. We've had support from the governor, from the president, from everybody that loves LSU.
President Trump and the First Lady were in the building for college football's biggest night. Orgeron showcasing his legendary passion pregame, accidentally cutting himself on the forehead while firing up his team. But when the game started, Clemson jumped out to an early lead.
Breaking tackles, banging off people, touchdown! Clemson stretches the lead. Wow!
LSU facing a double-digit deficit for the first time all season before taking control in the second quarter and never looking back.
Touchdown! Thaddeus Moss.
With his father, NFL Hall of Famer Randy Moss in the stands, Thaddeus Moss racked up 2 of the 5 touchdowns thrown by LSU's superstar quarterback Joe Burrow, the man of the hour delivering a performance for the ages.
It says perfect. How does that make you feel? it was pretty damn perfect.
The 23-year-old Heisman Trophy winner handing Clemson its first loss in 2 years and winning the duel against his elite counterpart, sophomore Trevor Lawrence, himself unbeaten since high school.
Our coaches put together a great game plan at halftime and we started to roll.
In front of a joyous Louisiana crowd leading LSU to glory, a national championship.